Good evening, everyone, and how the heck are you all doing? Welcome to the TXR Podcast, and this is episode number 165 of our first show to bring in 2021. Happy New Year to you all. 2020 was, well, a huge write-off to say the least, obviously. It was a really terrible year for everyone, that's for sure. Here's hoping 2021 turns out better. TXR will certainly be here for your gaming white pill each Sunday. And to kick off 2021, we've got quite a few things on the docket. We'll definitely be going over a bunch of big rumors regarding Xbox heading into 2021. As well, there's been, well, a couple of interesting patents that have popped up. One that had resurfaced, well, going back a few months ago, and so on. Not to mention Phil Spencer making some comments regarding Bethesda and a few other things. However, let me start with introducing everyone on the TXR panel tonight, and I'll start with TimDog. Happy New Year, bud. Are you ready to kick off the new year on the right foot?
Yes, I am. Happy New Year. It's going to be a big year. Happy to be here. Start off the new year with a new show, and let's get on it.
Fantastic. All right, next up, Centurion. Again, Happy New Year to you, buddy. You ready for tonight's show?
Happy New Year, and what is up to all my brothers in the gaming community? Yes, it is Sunday night, and it is time to have an awesome podcast.
Nice, buddy. Moving on here, Jeremy. Happy New Year to you and your excellent Montana beard. How are you doing?
Happy New Year, my Canadian friend. I think everybody here is so glad to get out of that 2020. I mean, it was just a complete disaster.
Yeah, definitely.
To finish it off, I need to go back to Los Angeles here in a couple of weeks. My grandmother passed on Christmas Eve. You guys didn't know about that, but yeah, I got to go back. And then, just with everything going on, it's just like a tight squeeze for everything. Coming back on a quick, 2 or 3 day trip, and then headed back up. So doing that, but I've been getting some gaming in on the flip side of that. Finally finished Cyberpunk, the campaign. I have to say, man, it was a great game for the main quest. Still got a lot of gameplay left. It's probably one of the more complete and satisfying games I've played in a while, which is pretty good. So I'm finished with that. I still need to finish Yakuza, which we just spoke about. I'm about halfway through that. So I got a lot of gaming ahead of me this year, especially with these new titles that are allegedly to come out. So looking forward to that.
Damn, well, no, I mean, we didn't know that, Jeremy. So, again, everybody, I'm sure on the panel, our condolences, sorry to hear about that. That's pretty rough, especially on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, my family, you guys know this, but my family lives in Los Angeles, and we're talking in like a 2 mile radius. Everybody lives next to each other. I mean, my grandmother that lives, about 4 blocks away from me on my mother's side, she lives right there, along with all my cousins, and about 2 miles, I guess, north of her lives my deceased grandmother, or used to live, I should say. So a lot of family where I'm going. It'll be. I look forward to seeing them all again. I haven't seen them since the summertime when they came down. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely a lot of kind words being dropped there for you in the chat if you want to look over those. But again, my condolences to you and your family, Jeremy. Moving on here, Eric Indiana Shockley. Happy New Year, brother. What's new?
What's new? Did you just dox me? No, I was joking. No, not much. Just been binging a lot of. Been getting back into watching like more anime, so I've been.
Shock, you're coming in low on my end. Anybody else hear him?
Yeah, you're a little
sounds low.
Wow. We can
Okay.
about
Still low, a little better.
a little better, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've just binging Attack on Titan. I think I just went through that whole thing. That's a pretty good show. Really, I try to do subs, but I just can't get into like following. I can't. It's hard to binge it and do subs because it's just like a lot of reading and a lot of trying to focus back and forth. But yeah, I've been binging that through that Funimation app. But as far as games, I've been getting back into my Vita, hacking that a little bit more, putting some more games and dabbling with that a little bit more. But yeah, I'm ready to get into hopefully some new games coming out this spring. Other than I don't think anything I'm even excited for except maybe playing Mario 3D World on my Switch. That's about it. I think it's pretty dry from what I remember as far as what's been announced for this first quarter.
Yeah,
it always amazed me how can people watch subtitles in movies or anime? I can't do it. I've tried and tried and tried.
Like I can do it. It's just when I have the option to not do it, it's like, yeah, I'll go with, unless it's really bad like voice acting, but the voice acting in Attack on Titan's pretty top notch as far as dubs go.
All right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know you were talking about your Vita before the show. I mean, that's pretty cool shock that you're still kicking around with that. All right, Megatron, buddy. Hey, did you bring the new year in style? Double the hangover.
Yeah. I mean, we got like, holidays back to back to back. We had Christmas, of course, birthday after that, the New Year's. And I'm just now starting to sober up a little bit. So, but I want to, Happy New Year to everyone. I want to thank everybody for the birthday love. So that was,
Happy birthday.
Awesome. That was awesome. Tim and Phil and you guys, TXR, everybody out in the community, and my phone just was buzzing for days. So I really appreciate it.
Not to interrupt, but I just noticed that Phil did comment on my thing and said what he said, that you look no older than 22. I was laughing, but I see. I was busy that day, so I had I knew it was your birthday and I had said it. But yeah, now it explains why that happy birthday tweet got 500 likes.
Yeah, it was close because I was actually watching a race between you and Phil and who's going to get the most likes. I don't know who beat out who.
He beat me out. But
it was pretty close. So yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Damn.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for being such a good dude.
Oh man, back at you, bro. Back at you. I appreciate that, man. Just ready to kick off this new year with some gaming. Yeah. I'm curious though. What's the first game everybody played? Did you guys all fire up already? Like with your X1? What's every?
I finished Hive Busters, and then now I'm full on Yakuza. Loving the game, absolutely. I loved Hive Busters. If anybody gets a shot, you have to play to the end. The last chapter is the best chapter. It's the best graphically. Plus, it has some things that they introduced that's really cool. That I think that you're going to see in the next Gear 6. I think that's what they're kind of gunning for and scaling for. And Coalition really, another real deal developer for Xbox.
Yeah, like they know what they're doing. We're about 2 hours in. We're almost finished. We were playing last Saturday, and I think you were on the same night, but you were appearing offline, I think, Tim. Yeah. But you were on. You were on. I
know you guys sent me a request where I was just I think I was doing updates or stuff like that, but I wasn't physically on.
Well, I got some first. Oh no, sorry. I got some gameplay going on here for Hive Busters, and I just kept being drawn to the vistas. Like, I was just so impressed with the amount of detail and artwork and background work that the Coalition did for this DLC here. So color me impressed. I still got Tim saying I'm about halfway through from the sounds of things. So I definitely am really excited to finishing up the second half of this. They are really, really good.
Yeah, and I was very impressed with Hive Busters. I mean, talk about a total 360 different experience than 4 and 5, in my opinion. I mean, they take you on some fabulous locations, locales. The set pieces are just outstanding. Some of the things you see and do. in the game are spectacular. And it's just visually more I mean, just the creative juices were flowing with the Coalition in that one. It wasn't so dull like 5 was in terms of, you're in the snow the whole time and in the desert. It just, it was just a drag. Some of the levels, like I just wanted to be over with the game. I didn't get that sense with Hive Busters. I wanted to keep on playing it. Now, if they can just nail the characters and the story, I mean, we're in for a real treat.
Yeah.
With the next years.
Yeah, definitely, Jeremy. And, I gotta say, I've been buying games like crazy because of the digital sale going on. I had bought Crash Team Racing, the Spyro trilogy, both Evil Within games. Oh man, I went on a tear with it because some of those deals were just really hard to pass up. So let's just say I earned myself quite a bit of Xbox rewards. But, okay, guys, we will move right along here and get into the thick of things because we got a lot to cover. And we will kick things off with, a list of rumors compiled by an Xbox fan site called Xbox Worlds. They recently posted an end-of-the-year top 10 biggest rumor list about Xbox, and it's been getting a lot of attention. And guys, let's go through the list and see what's likely, maybe plausible, and probably unrealistic. Tim, I'll start with you here, and I'll start with the number 10 on the list. Number 10, In Exile Entertainment is currently working on a steampunk AAA RPG. The game is supposedly, it has the second highest budget for an Xbox game in development aside from Halo, and that's excluding anything Bethesda, ZeniMax related. What are your thoughts on this?
I call false because I saw that. I think Fable will probably have a higher budget than In Exile. I figure that In Exile is going to be a AAA, but it's going to be on a lower budget AAA, meaning I could see Fable and I could also see Avowed bigger than that. So I'm going to say they are just making that up, but from what I've heard, Phil and company are very impressed with In Exile. They have pushed resources into it. They're about a 100-man team now. And yes, you will get a AAA, but as far as high budget AAA, it's not going to come close to Gear 6. It won't come close to Fable. And like I said, I think it would be more or less on an Avow budget. So I'm going to say BS, but some of it's true. They're just mixing in the truth with some fantasy.
Right.
I'm actually going to only respond to the ones with high probability.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah.
I do think that the two
Do them all.
Yeah, okay. All right. But
all.
I do think that the 2 Bethesda games that are going to come out this year, which is going to be Starfield, and the other one's going to be Castle Wolfenstein 3. I think that's going to come out, but with multiplayer. And for those of you who don't remember, but Wolfenstein series used to be a massive powerhouse in this industry as far as the multiplayer goes. I used to play the Return to Castle Wolfenstein for countless hours on the OG Xbox. I mean, you guys remember that game. What's another one out there? I think that the Xbox Live is going to be free. I do
possible.
think, I do think that's going to come into fruition this year. I do see that coming. But it's
not to interrupt, but just to piggyback your point,
yeah.
You look like people say, "Oh well, Xbox, the Bethesda is going to have nothing." Every year, Bethesda has a game or two. So if history proves out, like you said, Wolfenstein 3 and possibly Starfield could come this year. But go on.
Yeah. So this is part of the reason why I think Halo Infinite's going to get delayed until 2021. Because I do think that Starfield is coming out at the end of the year. They could possibly switch and meaning Halo Infinite will be a Q4 game, and Starfield will get slated for Q1. I could see that happening, but as far as these other rumors like Xbox buying Sega, that's only a pipe dream for myself. I think for other people, I think the one that is going to get the green light is, and this is no secret, with xCloud joining iOS finally on iPad and iPhone. And I do think Samsung TVs will get exclusivity rights, either with the Game Pass and xCloud already built in, the infrastructure, possibly with a 3-month subscription. I do think that's happening. Number 5, I think Uplay coming to Game Pass. Yeah, I think I could see that happening too, just like EA did. So I think that's going to happen. Amazon already has Uplay on their streaming service, which you have to subscribe to it. For those of you who don't know, the what is it called? Amazon streaming service? Jeez, I don't even know. Luna.
Yeah,
their Luna streaming service. Already, see, you have to subscribe to channels. So there could be a Sega channel right now. There's a Ubisoft channel, and you have to subscribe to it. I don't know what's offered with the Uplay stuff, but on Luna, but I could see the same thing happening with the xCloud and Game Pass. I do see it, since Ubisoft has more of a relationship with Ubisoft and Xbox. I do see titles like Splinter Cell going to Game Pass, and all those other titles like Ghost Recon and stuff like that. So number 8's interesting, and I'm going to skip a few of these for those of you who want to talk about some of these items on the list. But Xbox has secured the publishing rights for a big AAA surprise that will launch in 2021. Invader, I don't have any guesses on this. Maybe your guess is as good as mine, but I don't have any information on this or even an idea of what's planned for this. It could be, the Forza Horizon 5 would be considered a AAA. I think that would be a surprise to people. I know it's a small surprise, but nevertheless, it would be a surprise for 2021, considering the fact that, the other one just came out not too long ago. But I don't think.
I'm assuming that they mean a publishing rights for a Capcom game or something like that.
That's what I was thinking.
Because
that's in-house.
Yeah, because that's in-house, Jeremy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just reading them, off the top of my head real quick. So, but yeah, I think, who knows?
Well, to be fair, I mean, it is pretty vague what they're stating. The thing is, we don't know what's going on with Xbox Global Publishing. They have obviously a couple of smaller games on the docket. For example, As Dusk Falls, there's that one. I think that's coming out sometime this year. There's a few other games, obviously. Those are the ones that we know about. However, they could very well have some kind of big AAA exclusive secured. I mean, considering the pocketbooks have been opened to buying studios, for example, I can totally see them going out there and possibly grabbing up a well-known title. Okay, this comes to mind.
Xbox World knowing is very, very, very unlikely. Let's be honest. I mean, most of the stuff is just they throw shit out. And then they just basically say, "Hey, I mean, we can make a list up too, and get people talking." But some of it's interesting and rooted in truth. But acquisitions, publishing, and that type of stuff. Nobody knows about that. Very few people knew about Bethesda.
Yeah.
You know, Tim, I'm looking at Obsidian and it says 6 projects. I laugh at that. I do think if you cut that number in half, I do think that they are working on 3. I think 1 is in way, way early development. But I do think games like Grounded they're very focused on Grounded. I think Grounded, when it's finally released, is going to be a huge game. And I do think they're gonna they have 2 other projects that they're currently working on. So 3 is not out of the question. I think 6 is just way too many. I don't know where they came up with this. I just think they just threw darts and say, okay, let's do 6.
I understand. I understand the skepticism, but I will say though that these studios. I mean, Obsidian has been growing very much since their acquisition. Xbox is very high on them. They're currently working on, obviously, Avowed is their next big game. They are working on DLC still for the Outer Worlds, so they have a team on that, a small team. You mentioned Grounded, which it has a lot of success.
Yeah. So I think their focus right now would be Avowed, because that is going to be a huge game. I do think that what's the other one that they're working on? Well, they got Grounded. Obviously, that's going to be huge for them. But the what's the other one? Help me out. Outer Worlds. I think they are making a part 2. I think that's coming for sure. So I think they're working on those 3 games.
Oh yeah, well they're definitely gonna cover their bases with their RPG shooters for sure. I mean, not to mention, we have Bethesda in-house now, or coming in-house soon. That deal is soon to be finalized from the sounds of things, and they're gonna have Fallout, Elder Scrolls. Oh man, Starfield, obviously, Fable. They'll be fine. They'll definitely be fine for RPGs, that's for sure. No more shooter box talk.
You know what I think about this list, Invader? I think it's been a slow 3 weeks of news for somebody got bored.
That's the real truth of the matter. Is, I mean, news, getting the console, anything of is just dead, and I expect it to be dead for at least for Xbox. Sony's usually quiet anyway, but at least for Xbox until February, when they announced that the Bethesda deal is done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got spoiled.
Is that the target date? Did they say it was going to be around February?
They want it to be done in February, but it still could be longer than that.
We got spoiled last year with just around the clock every single week. We were getting hit with news,
right? And we had the anticipation.
Yeah, I think now they're going back to the old Xbox, which we're not going to see them for another 3 months. No news coming.
Well, they're probably just staying quiet until everything's done with Bethesda. Yeah. Then it'll start to heat back up again, and we'll
and when they can get some consoles that we can actually buy. So that's one thing that Xbox is handcuffs right now, and the reason why that I've mentioned this, that they're kind of in a shutdown mode, is, and I would say the same thing for Sony, is that it is virtually impossible, unless you want to spend extra money, to get a console and go into a brick and mortar store, or even get it online. Amazon, you cannot buy these consoles no matter how hard you try, unless you get very lucky. Xbox knows this, so does Sony, and basically they're both at a hand, a handstill or whatever. They're just they're not going to do anything. And why so? If they announce the biggest news. If they have news, why would you announce it right now? Because it's just going to excite people and say, "Hey, I have to get a console. Oh, I can't get it." And then
100%.
So, and the sad thing is that I'm hearing for both, April is when we can possibly get to normalcy. Mm-hmm. It used to be. I mean, listen, I remember when Switch came out; it was about 3 months. So this is following that same footsteps. I mean, you would think that after Christmas is over, New Year's is over, you're in the second week in January, you'd be able to go to Best Buy or PC Richards or any of these companies and get a console. The answer is as we know, I'm sitting on $900 on GameStop money and I can't do anything. So don't expect much for the next couple of months.
And Tim, that's unfortunate because people are craving gaming right now. Gaming is the thing that everybody's doing right now, and that's unfortunate because there's a lot of money to be spent out there right now, especially with the stimulus checks that people are receiving. People are willing to spend big money on these consoles, even for upwards for 500, $1,000. 2,000. I've seen people spend $2,000 on these damn systems. Even three. I think there's some news out there, but people are paying $3,000 for these systems. Crazy.
Yeah.
You can tell the demand is high. I'm looking at GameStop. I'm looking at Amazon. Right, just for a used Xbox One X, you can still. GameStop is selling them for $370. That's for the old stuff. I mean, and you looking at Amazon, you see them upwards of $500. So, gaming is at a whole time. The demand is so high that even the old consoles are still, to me, valued at a high price.
Even the 3DSs and 2DSs are going up because they're discontinued. But
GameStop did a smart thing by offering a nice trade-in value for your newer system because they know that they could sell. Especially in today's market, they can sell these systems for what Megatron said, and that to me would be preposterous, at this day and age, when it's a 10-year-old system now going on 10 years, just spending that kind of money for a system like that. But now there's no systems out there. Everything's delisted or discontinued, and you can't get your hands on some of these systems. So, it was wise for them to buy back, some of these older systems for a nice price, and get some inventory back in their shelves.
Yeah.
Get rid of my Cyberpunk console. I haven't cracked that open yet. That's going brand new for I see $1,839. Maybe I'll make a little bread off this thing.
Well, people are desperate for entertainment, over the past year because obviously, gaming has skyrocketed because other avenues of entertainment have just been, shut down in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously, the film industry has been tanking. You got live sports. They've also been taking a shit kicking as well. Gaming, I mean, of course, they've been affected, but they've been able to weather how things have been the past year or so a lot better. I mean, obviously, we talked about on the last show how the game industry was skyrocketing in profit. So this,
if I can add on to that, you're forgetting that now a lot of entertainment companies, Discovery Channel, History Channel, HBO, a number of channels have already switched to streaming services. And some of these streaming services aren't available on every device, but for some reason, console has been kind of neutral to that, not available on anything because for some reason everything shows up on console, and which is another reason why you'd want to have one of these game consoles because there's really no app that you can't find to watch whatever it is you're into at the time.
Right. That's why I do think, companies like who owns DirecTV? Do you guys know? I think DirecTV is in huge trouble. And AT&T is losing money like crazy as well. Because they're out of the time, so to speak. They're not constantly evolving what they're doing. At the top of my head, AT&T's behind the 8 ball, behind everybody in terms of what's going on and what's happening in the digital in the digital future. So I do think companies like DirecTV are going to go away soon and get replaced by Amazon, by HBO Max. As you can see with some of these people are buying huge exclusivity rights to some of these movies that are happening because exclusivity still matters to people, and if they can get the next big thing, even though Wonder Woman was a complete disaster and it was a horrible movie.
I didn't see that yet.
No,
I don't think you want to.
Yeah. It was still huge for them to have it. There were still people lining up, so to speak, to watch, and they subscribed to that particular streaming service.
Actually,
because
the one that's going to be one to watch now because of everybody's reaction to Wonder Woman. I'm really curious on if Dune, because that's the one that everybody's having a battle about, is whether Dune is going to be in a streaming service or if it's going to be in theaters. And there's a huge battle about it right now. And that's what I'm curious on, if this is going to tip the scales to them putting Dune in theaters now, just because of how it didn't really go over too well with Wonder Woman.
And I know we're talking about movies now, but what's happening with Top Gun 2? I know it was slated for the holidays.
I got delayed.
Everything's been delayed. And that's where with delays, that's another thing. That's so many movies, so many games have been delayed through 2020 into 2021 that I have to sit back and always wonder, what were we not told that was delayed?
I gotta
what were they gonna tell us in 2020 that got delayed? Because the stuff that they did tell us about got delayed. So what about that stuff they didn't tell us about?
Like Cyberpunk.
So yeah, like that. But you get where I'm going with that. It's like, somebody probably was like, hey, we should tell them about this game, and it's like, no, let's just wait till 2021.
Maybe.
The only thing I see coming out of the movie industry now is a bunch of horror movies. You know why? Because they're very low budget, less risk, high reward, because there's still a huge market for horror movies. For example, the Halloween movie, the newer Halloween movie that was slated to come out, but now it's coming out next year. The original to that, the one that was the most recent, he only made that movie for like $10 million, and it grossed, what was it, like something like $200 or $300 million, $1 billion. I'm sorry. I forgot what exactly it was. It wasn't billion. Maybe it was 300
well,
million.
You look at Wonder Woman, and that was apparently a $200 million movie to make. So,
well, yeah, with every entertainment industry, games, movies, music, there's always going to be that one franchise that somebody owns that consumes a lot of money. That's why you always aim to have those budget titles that make a lot of money, because honestly, regretfully, it's Wonder Woman that's going to keep them relevant just because of the name. It's Wonder Woman. So yeah, they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at it when it comes to a budget.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did already greenlight the third one now, but I mean, after the reviews, I don't know. Just the way that they put it out, I don't think they felt too confident in it, but we'll see how things go with that. Tim, we got a question in the chat here. I think we kind of talked about earlier from 9 Lives. Mm-hmm. Tim, are we getting a Forza this year?
I think we're going to get a Forza Horizon. It'll be cross-generation title, Forza Horizon 5. I believe Forza Motorsport, the new generation, will be only Xbox Series only exclusive, but now you're just I'm thinking Forza Horizon 5. Yes.
Yeah, well, when we saw that snippet of gameplay earlier from demo, I guess you could say, during the Xbox event in late July, it was still very, very early on, and they had pretty much hinted that it was still going to be a while. Maybe not even next year. I mean, we could be waiting 2 years for it. So, yeah, I mean, I could see Forza Horizon come out, Forza Horizon 5. Playground Games, they're pretty good with turnover rates as far as their games go. The last game was, when did it come out? 2018, I think. So they're due, technically, for a new Forza Horizon game. So, I could see them coming out with one. All right, guys. Well, I think we went through basically the entire list here, fellas. I mean, it's an interesting list that this site did gather up. Some of it, yeah, I mean, I could, ballpark as plausible. Wolfenstein 3, I mean, hopefully it doesn't go the Youngbloods route. Ugh, that was terrible. But Uplay coming to Game Pass, I mean, definitely with, EA Play on there already, it's definitely possible. Yeah, there's a few things that I guess you could take with a grain of salt, but... Anyways, we will move on, fellas. And during the latest episode of Larry Herb's Xbox podcast, he did have Xbox head Phil Spencer on, and he dropped some little nuggets of information, as he usually does. One topic was the acquisition of Bethesda. He said that everything was still on track, as we had talked about earlier, to seal the deal with the ZeniMax acquisition. He feels good about it, and that the business is growing and profitable. I mean, that's a very good sign. He then went on to say that the Bethesda team will be very, very critical to Xbox going forward. And I quote, "I can't wait to get it closed so that we can start working like one company. I'm incredibly excited about Starfield and a lot of other things, some announced and some not announced, that they're working on. I just think they're going to be an incredible addition to our studios." I mean, very confident there, obviously. So guys, I mean, to pick apart all this, Shockley, I'll start off with you here on this one, bud. Phil seems really excited about closing off this deal, and, you know, going into the start of this console generation, how important will it be for Bethesda and ZeniMax franchises to be on Xbox?
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of their major things that's going to help push Game Pass even further than, you know, where it's gone. And I think it's more even more leaning confirmation of that, you know, there's going to be some exclusivity to this, because again, if they just wanted to make a Game Pass deal, they could have paid way less than $7 billion to do so. But yeah, I think they're going to be using that to lead the charge. I mean, I'm not positive, but, you know, I'm thinking Starfield is going to be the game that's, because Bethesda generally has something lined up each year. So
yeah, Starfield's going to
unless
be
they
huge
pull out of something that they have yet to announce at all. But Starfield's the one that's been in production probably the longest that we know of, and so I would think that's probably coming this year. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know if COVID pushed things back, but yeah, I mean, that's going to be one of their great things that's going to help spearhead, because you think about it, ZeniMax, all those studios are already in place, you know, already have longtime teams, whereas some of the newer studios Microsoft acquired are either building up or getting bigger, maybe starting on new projects. So I think ZeniMax is really going to be key for them for first-party production, while their other smaller studios that they've been building up, you know, come in maybe towards the midway, or, you know, towards the end of this next gen life cycle, to kind of pick up the slack. So it's definitely going to be, you know, big for them to, you know, start this gen off, you know, hitting the ground running, you know, outside of Halo dropping this year. So,
you know, Phil knows exactly what 7.5 bottom. I know I do. I know Tim does, and some of you, you know, some of you guys. Bethesda's already their biggest and best developer. The only thing that rivals them is the Halo franchise by itself. Let's be clear. That's the only thing. Not 343, not the Coalition, nothing. It's Bethesda, and then there's everybody else. So it's so many iconic and legendary IPs. You're talking about The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein. Microsoft knew exactly what they were getting when they paid $7.5 billion. So those franchises are more loved, and literally any game that Sony has, they can't match it. Nothing can match it. Nothing that Sony does or has in their back pocket can match what Xbox is going to do to the future at ZeniMax, at Bethesda. You know, what are the other ones they bought? I mean,
they have a ton of them. Tango Works,
Works is huge.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I think people don't realize, is that you know, like, there's also a comment 3 to 10 years. I think when he's talking about is it's good now and we all adjust it, or it's going to get good. In 3 years, you're talking about possibly a game, and large scale game, every other month. In the history of us playing games, unless you go way back where they used to deliver a game on Tuesdays, but they were much smaller. But for, let's just take this generation, you will be gaming more than you ever gamed on Xbox because of the sheer amount of content that's coming out. You might get a year where you get Gear 6, Elder Scrolls, Forza game, In Exile game, Compulsion game, and the list goes on and on. They have 35 teams, not 23, 35 teams working on games. And that doesn't include, global publishing, which is like Ori and Flight Sim and, some of the other games that they have going. So the fact is that, the games are going to be coming. I mean, it's like, at first I remember telling people this, and I was met with a lot of resistance. And then when Bethesda actually hit, I think people actually now know. And the question about exclusivity, I think that'll be answered within this year. I think that for the most part, it's going to be exclusive. You might get some games here and there that are timed exclusives. But overall, in 3 years, or that comment, that's not, because they're going to have a very good year this year. But that's, I think, when they get it to the point where they want it, where it's you're getting content every month, and
I'm just sitting here. I'm sitting here smiling without even realizing. I'm just listening to you talk. 35 different teams making all these games, man, and that's unbelievable. And it's on Game Pass. All that stuff's on Game Pass. I'm about to save so much money this gen. I cannot wait, bro.
Yeah.
We look, Invader, sorry to cut you off, but right now there's people in chat and, there's people on this podcast that look forward to their favorite subscription service every single month, whether it's Netflix coming out with new content every month, whether it's Disney Plus waiting for The Mandalorian to drop. Exclusivity matters, and I think Xbox understands this. But what Tim just said is 100% true. A game, a AAA game, a powerhouse game coming out every single month. This does not include some of the smaller titles that will be issued by some of these smaller teams, some of these indie games. We're talking content that is going to be well worth the $9.99 a month that you get with Game Pass. So, that's not going to be the problem. The problem is going to be our back catalog moving forward, because some of the stuff that's going to come on is insane. I mean, we're talking about the Elder Scrolls series. We're talking about Halo. We're talking about Fable. We're talking about my God, it's just everything. Everything in general is it's going to be.
And not to mention that we got third-party stuff, and if you're playing on an Xbox Series X, you're going to get the best of that. Hopefully, when they get these GDKs and SDKs right, I mean, it's going to be crazy. What we're in for a real treat, and we're going to be entertained. So, I'm ready. I just need a better expansion card. I need a bigger one because I don't have any room.
Yeah, well,
so
no, it's just, again, with the Zenimax, there's all kinds of subsidiary studios here. The amount of content that's going to be coming out is going to be insane. Bethesda Softworks alone, their game studios, they have about 4 or 5 studios spread across North America. id Software has 2 studios. Machine Games, obviously they're going to be doing Wolfenstein. Roundhouse Studios, I mean, obviously you had alluded to Tango, which Tango is important because they're their first Japanese studio, which was included in this deal. So if that makes it easier for them to purchase other studios along the way, that'd be fantastic. ZeniMax Online Studios, which apparently opened up a new studio in San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. You have Arcane Studios. Obviously, they're working on Deathloop at the moment. They're finishing that up, and they got 2 studios of their own. And I guess the real There's a couple of surprises here. Alpha Dog Studios, I think they're more of a mobile-based studio, so it'll be interesting to see what they got there. But there's also Roundhouse Studios. I think I might have mentioned that earlier, in Madison, Wisconsin, and they actually they were rebranded, I think, but they worked on the original Prey, and they've been doing some other stuff too. So it's exciting, man.
So Invader, and I told you guys this, when they purchased Zenimax for $7.5 billion, I'm all in on Xbox now. There is no PlayStation for me. I'm not buying another console. I'm not buying another Switch. I'm not buying another PlayStation. I have my PC, but I use it, primarily to do my schooling or whatnot. I'm all in on Xbox. It's because of moves like this where we're going to get a massive game every single month for, the next 2 or 3 years or however long it, imagine something. Yeah. So there's no reason for me to go out and buy another system now because we have so many games, because we have so many titles that are coming out, important titles. I'm not talking about, some of these other titles that just come out every year, in previous years. We're talking about huge game-changing industry titles that shake up this industry. And they sell, like the Fallout series, for example. They'll go on and still sell, regardless whether it's on Game Pass or not. They'll still sell 15 to 20 million copies. And you can go down the list.
I mean, I just look at you. I remember you were, they got the studios, and you're like, okay, I'm still not sold. But when Bethesda sold, I remember that morning, you're like, oh, this is what I've been asking for.
Man.
That was crazy.
Honestly, I look back to that time, and I just look at me, even as an Xbox fan, and that was just like the time where it was just like they did it. They finally, they solidified themselves. Yeah, listen, and some of it was warranted, but Xbox had gotten a lot of heat. A lot of people were upset. I mean, there was a time where Xbox was in such dire straits. I look back and I'm like, how did I even support them? Knowing what I know now and knowing how much they have now and how little they had. But this turned out.
Justin in chat just said, and I knew this, Fallout 4 sold more than any other Sony game by far. It wasn't even close.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I think that like Elder Scrolls 6 and possibly Fallout, you might get some timed exclusivity because I think if Xbox is smart, that at the very least they do timed exclusivity because you need to try to get some people into your ego permanently, not just somebody who's just, dipping and dabbing. I can argue with whoever it is at Xbox night and day. Like Starfield, that should be exclusive. You leave that alone, okay? Elder Scrolls, okay, I realize you have a player base now of, like Justin was saying, that sold more. Do you want to really, segment them off? A lot of people would argue yes, because they'll come to the system, which is a very solid argument. But then there's other people, I think like Tim Stewart, when he made his comments, that are thinking, well, maybe it'll be timed. We could do a year timed. So I think that when you look at those type of games, that there is a possibility that
I feel like a different approach, Tim, would be instead of it being forced with, I guess, something like exclusive, like it's only over here or it will be over there on this date, be more of a make them feel like they're not getting the full experience. Rather, make them feel like while they're playing that game, they're not getting what the full potential of what that game could be because of on the Series X, it's a much more capable hardware or just things that they put on the game that aren't available on other platforms. Just kind of tricks that Sony's actually kind of used for a long time.
Just give them the black and white version of the game. And if you want
How about this? How about like the textures load really slow, so you get
Frame
like
per second.
Yeah, but guys, the whole thing is about
UHF
getting them
version.
into the ecosystem. I mean, why go to PlayStation when you can get it at
Exactly.
I want to say a discount with
Yeah.
Game Pass, right?
I think at the very least, if you should make it a year or 2 year exclusive, like
A
with
year's good. I'm
Starfield.
okay with a year.
Yeah, I think with Starfield, I think that you have to solidify that that's exclusive. That makes no sense to say, "Hey, we're taking a new IP that a lot of people want," but it's not something where it has some history or lineage with a console. You just could say, "Hey, this is us. This is our thing," and I think that's what's going to happen. But man, I mean, like to think that Xbox is Bethesda, just them alone, and I remember. We all Megatron. I think that was that year. There was the last E3 actually that we went to. I went to Bethesda conference. Remember that Megatron? We all went, and I remember looking, and I'm like, looking at the show that they did, and I said, "Wow, they got some culture here. They got like the fans are so passionate about it."
Yeah.
And to think that that's now Xbox. You have Peter Hines, who's one of the best marketing guys in the business. That I guess he's still going to be running with Bethesda. But like the shows that they put on, if you guys remember,
absolutely. I was there the year before.
Yeah,
I think me, South, and Doc were there, and they had the guitars playing. They had the bands, pyro,
and then they had Fallout. Remember that? Yeah,
it was lit, bro. I mean, it was no other show better outside of Xbox's show that they put on. It's
right, and it rivaled them.
Yes.
So now you're gonna have something with everything involved. So yeah we're really in. It's gonna be, like I said, it might be a 3 months time for us to be kicking the rocks and saying I can't get an Xbox. But I think during this holiday, I really feel like Xbox is gonna really start to show the momentum that's been lacking for quite some time. I think that people now realize, and then when seeing is believing, when you start to see, I mean, it's possible. Let's say that they have this year Wolfenstein, Starfield, Forza Horizon 5, and this is a long shot. But let's just say that they did have all that. You're gonna have people just shut up, because even like the games Hivebusters, that made a lot of Sony guys go crazy and say, "Oh, look at Uncharted, it's better than this. Screw this game." I can't. But it was because they knew it looked good. So when you produce really good content, and that goes for Xbox guys too. When God of War came out, I remember so many Xbox fans, a lot of loyal Xbox fans that were just like, "This is unmatched," and Xbox.
I was one of them.
Yeah. And I feel like I think, and I have to say, all the people here in Xbox community, the YouTube, people on Twitter, people like Jeremy who came on and put pressure right off the bat. We're a passionate bunch, and I definitely think that us pushing as hard as we did definitely push the company. And I think at this point now, it's on a different trajectory where they're dangerous now. It's kind of like they could pull off a move and like people will just start saying it's a monopoly. They got Ubisoft and they got
dangerous. That's not even the right word. That's it. It's game over for everybody else. I'm sorry, but Starfield's going to be huge. I want to say as big as Cyberpunk, huge. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about in the negative way. I'm talking about in the positive way. That's how big Starfield's going to be. You don't think Phil knows what he bought when he bought Bethesda and what Starfield's going to be? I highly doubt that. He knows exactly what Starfield's going to be. And it's going to be a huge game. And I think it's going to take this industry by storm. I really do. And you look at these numbers, like Fallout 4 ships 12 million copies in one day. Ships. And it's, 5 million copies sold in the first week on PlayStation. I mean, it's just things like that where, they have nothing that they could match it. Fallout 4, they were saying that's, besides 76 at the time was the least popular Fallout game out of all of them. That's what they said. 88 Metacritic. You know, I mean, just huge sales, and it was a great game, and that was our least popular game.
Now,
I don't know. The first thing I think of when we're talking about Bethesda now, the first thing that popped in my head, one of them after things started, me taking it all in that they acquired them, the first thing I thought of was that epic picture with Tim and that Pitbull, and that Pitbull. Almost if you knew somehow in your spirit, you didn't know, but like your spirit knew that this was going to happen, and then all of a sudden it just manifests itself. Yeah, I was there. I think I was there. So, and
well, it's funny you say that because we took every year we went a lot. We have a picture of him kissing the Fallout Boy.
Yeah,
from every single year.
Oh, is that what it is? Was that?
Yeah. And we used to go always.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, the one time I believe you were there, that was the famous picture. But yeah, it was funny. I like to think that they could get them. It's just. That just still to this day rocks me to my core. Like I remember when that happened too. I'm working and I'm just like looked at like my phone like like in a trance for like a minute, and I'm like, what is this bullshit? They got it on Xbox on Game Pass where we're gonna get Elder Scrolls. Who cares? It's not like. And then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, then I see like Phil tweeting about it, and then I'm like, oh no. And then people were just like, wow.
I think to wrap this up, to put things in perspective, you look at either the Elder Scrolls series or the Fallout series. Huge. Any one of those games, take 4 of Sony's games, can't compare with one of those titles is worth. That's how big acquiring ZeniMax was and Bethesda was for Xbox and the industry in general.
Well, this is how big it is too, Jeremy. I posted this in our DM a few days ago, but there's talk of an Elder Scrolls Netflix series in the works, kind of akin to, I would assume, The Witcher, obviously, because there's been a lot of success. Not only that, but Amazon Prime, it was reported, a year or two ago that there was a Fallout series in the works. These are massive brands, and Microsoft has their hands on them now. Can you imagine the reach they're going to have just with these TV shows and these brands alone? It's monumental.
And they also have another one. What is their other franchises that they have?
They have Wolfenstein.
Lego? No, not Lego. They have
Rage. They have
Wolfenstein. They have Quake.
Wow,
dude! Quake used to be, Quake used to be PC's version of Halo. Back in the day, Quake used to be it. Unreal Tournament. That's what used to be the IT.
Remember how big that was?
Yeah, it used to be big.
Remember how big it was? I was thinking about Warner Brothers. I think that they had it, but they have Doom, they have Dishonored. They have even games like Prey.
Yeah,
they have Prey. It's crazy.
They got all kinds
of.
And
they had the Evil Within. Remember that? It was a very good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This is just I know that this was on part of the subject matter or the news, and obviously it's a little slow, but it is good to know. And they also they have not even that, they have Deathloop, which is going to be exclusive for Sony because it was a prior deal. And they also have another one. Isn't it Deathloop in Tokyo?
Yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo. And if you look at those games, they look pretty interesting too. So, man, it's just I'm blown away.
It does so much for the brand Xbox. You bring somebody over like Bethesda, ZeniMax, that whole thing, and it attracts people to the other stuff like Halo and Gears and Forza. You may only want to play those type of games, but when you're going, and everything's it's just one package, which is Game Pass, you're going to have these people, go, and mess around and discover something they never even thought they enjoy playing. I think it's just as a whole, it's a definite win, and it's something to really look forward to, man. So
Yeah, I think Xbox, as far as the development team goes, they have an identity now. You look at leaders like Todd Howard and Pete Hines, where they're the American version of Miyamoto and just some of these other major developers. We have a face now that you put. Nintendo had their face with Reggie. I know he was more on the business end, but now Xbox has their face. I look at it like that.
Yeah. Well, either way, guys, I mean, we have a lot to be excited about with Bethesda. Phil keeps talking about them so highly. I know he's excited about this deal finally closing in a couple of months, and hopefully we get to hear some stuff soon. I mean, obviously, whatever E3 announcements they have in June, or maybe they save something for July. Who knows how they'll break things up, but I would imagine that you'll see some ZeniMax and Bethesda games get announced and showcased. So,
well, Invader, this. Todd Howard likes to, release his games literally months after they're announced. Like, for example, with Fallout. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, it's going to drop next week. No, it wasn't like that, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had it that E3, and it came out that year. And if you remember, what happened with Fallout is that Kotaku, they had some type of unethical shit where they kind of said it was coming, and they broke the story, and Bethesda was saying, I believe they were thinking to take them to court, but when you look at it and you it's just crazy. It just blows your mind that all that happens. I mean, like I said, it's just been a crazy year, just a crazy trajectory that Xbox is on.
So we're talking the same. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying that Satya is co-signing all of this. Hey, I mean, let's not forget. So. Go ahead. That's all I had to say. But it's just
it's a great thing, and you know what? That's Jeremy remembers we were at having Satya was walking around Gamers, and we had a bunch of people trying to talk to Satya and people from Microsoft about our passion and stuff like that. At that time, Satya didn't believe in Xbox. He definitely believed that there was a passionate fans behind it. But good old Phil, he sold it to him. And now Satya is he's on the forefront. He's like, yeah, we're not done. I think we're going to just keep going. It's wow. You look at him and how he wouldn't even talk about gaming, and now it is definitely part of their future. And you look at just gaming in general. Hollywood, all that stuff, gaming's going to take over, if it's already not there. COVID jump-started everything. And in the gaming industry right now, it's good to see that it's getting really healthy, I think. And people love the content, and the gamers are coming in droves.
We spoke about how it's game over for everybody else when Xbox purchased ZeniMax. Now imagine, and with these rumors, I know we're still on that rumor topic, but now imagine they go out this year and they have somebody else. I mean, it's done. It's over with.
Well, I'm hoping that they don't go too crazy. I would like them just to get somebody that would be, a smart buy. But I know people want them to go crazy. I just think that if they go crazy, kind of could trigger something where you have third-party games now just matching up with companies, and that's it. And your third party, which was once vibrant and all over the place, is now restricted.
This is why that's not going to happen, Tim. We just spoke last podcast on how gaming is now the number one entertainment industry on the face of the earth. So there's going to be new people coming in, new developers, new publishers, ready to sign on for games.
Even more intense competition.
Exactly.
Tencent, exactly. Google, Amazon. So why not? I mean, if it's there, it's on the market, it's fair game, go for it. Go for it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Totally.
So I see what you're saying, though, Tim. I mean, you heard immediately. I mean, after things simmered down, 48 hours later, Monopoly, it was other rumors and monopolies, and Microsoft's going to take over,
And then you had people who were saying, Xbox has no games too. Xbox, are you getting this game coming to our platform? You know what I mean? Xbox should be has to put their games on other systems, which is pretty funny considering. But the whole story with Bethesda, I hope it gets told. I'm not at liberty to really tell it, but it's an interesting story. It was. I'll say this much: it was discussed in 2017, and they didn't reach it. But it's just funny.
Well, Tim, it's funny you mentioned that because a lot of people don't realize these things don't usually happen overnight. It's over long periods where, they get little chit chats here and there. They talk at different events, and then, they shoot things back and forth. Sometimes it just doesn't go through because of last minute things, and so on.
Bungie. I'm sorry. Something was stuck in my throat, but yeah. 2021 Bungie.
Yeah, well, I could see a few things. Obviously, the chat is putting a few things down. I could see a Sobo or a Bluebird. There's a few teams I could see. Heck, I'll put it out there. Even Techland had been very silent. So Dying Light 2 is, everybody's been wondering what's been happening to that. So hey, why not? I mean, hey, if they can buy Bethesda, I don't see, nothing's off the table as far as I'm concerned. But, what, guys, we will move along here. Pretty good discussion so far. And recently, there's been a new patent discovered that seems to confirm that Microsoft is playing around with the idea of having adaptive triggers for Xbox controllers. Now, they call it clutch-forced feedback triggers, and this patent was filed, back on December 1st of 2020, so not too long ago. Now, I'm curious what everyone's thoughts are here about this patent, especially the members that have either a PS5 or even a Nintendo Switch. But Centurion, I'll start with you, bud. Do you see the Xbox controllers getting an adaptive trigger-like upgrade in the near future?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. As soon as I actually got to play Astro's Playroom on the PS5 and actually see the full capabilities of what an adaptive trigger can do, I kind of just said to myself, it feels like this is going to be a very underutilized feature on this platform, where I feel at least the developers on the Xbox side have a little bit more flexibility and drive to use features like that. And definitely, I really see a feature like that definitely being utilized very heavily on the Xbox side.
Right. Well, I mean, Xbox has had somewhat similar things that were underutilized. I mean, you look at the Rumble triggers, for example, only certain games seem to utilize that. I really liked it, like, for example, in Forza games and so on. Driving games really took advantage of that. A couple of shooters.
I just, for me, it's Xbox definitely allows their developers or even third-party developers a lot more flexibility, shall I say. It's kind of interesting. I just recently played Godfall, like I told you guys, and now I even, for being built by a third-party developer, I actually see that Sony probably gave them a list or something, because I mean there were certain elements in that game that are pretty much right out of God of War. So that was completely. I'm curious now on. Everybody's always had that rumor if that game's ever going to come to Xbox. I don't know, because I mean there's some stuff in there that really makes it play like a PlayStation game.
I don't think so. I mean,
I don't. Now that I've played it, I don't think so either. I used to like kind of be like, oh, you never know, but it's Gearbox, and now I've played it. I'm like, oh, there is too much of the PlayStation formula in this game.
Yeah, I think that game is coming to Xbox. I think it's a year.
Really?
Exclusive. Yeah, I think I've heard that, but it didn't do so well. I know that.
For me though, it's just definitely I just don't see, because you see it now. Pretty much this giant touchpad in the middle of a controller is pretty much your hotkey for your inventory.
Mhm.
That's pretty much the biggest feature I've ever seen utilized on this touchpad. And that's where I'm kind of wondering how many companies are really going to use these adaptive triggers or whatever they're called on the PS5. I just feel that Xbox has a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Adventurous developers that are actually going to have the drive to want to use that feature. You know, forgive me, I'm not trying to knock a Sony developer. It's just, I just see a lot of similar things that come out of Sony's development studios, where Xbox is definitely known for the diversity in their games. And I just feel their developers are going to be more inclined to use a technology like this.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with you, but for the simple reason, because you and I both know that PlayStation has more single player experiences, right? So having that rumble functionality or whatever controller rumble feature would be more suited towards what Sony's doing, just for the simple fact that they make more single player games. I know I'm not using it in Halo because it's going to mess up my targeting and it's going to mess up.
So that's where I wanted to point out, like, the games you're talking about that Sony is famous for are adult oriented games. The game I said that fully utilized these triggers on PlayStation was Astro's Playroom.
Mhm.
I don't see a 30, 40-year-old man wanting to go out and wanting to experience Astro's Playroom. But we do know that Xbox caters to a very heavy younger demographic, especially with Game Pass. And I feel that the developers, what's the one that did Psychonauts? We'll just use him as an example. Double Fine. A developer like that would be more inclined to be like, oh, this is a really cool, technology. Let's see if there's some way we could kind of incorporate this into our game in a fun way.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Sony's been doing it for years. I mean, you look at like a title with like Rez, for example, where it goes to the music and to the beat of the game, and it's different thing. You just have to utilize it, and developers have to utilize it. And I do think that Sony is more suited for it. As far as Godfall, theoretically going to Sony saying, hey, what do you want in this? I don't think that's true at all. I think they follow a very Gearbox oriented single player experience, and Gearbox is known for heavy RPG elements, and Godfall is no different. I just think
what was the game that Gearbox made that was an absolute piece of
Battleborn.
Utter garbage? Battleborn, man.
Oh yeah, the servers are going offline. I heard about that earlier today.
It's funny you say. I actually liked that. I actually enjoyed that game.
I saw that game at E3 with you, and I'm like, that game's destined to fail.
See, I just wanted to point out, Downer, that the games that would fully utilize a feedback trigger like that are the titles that Game Pass builds its foundation on. And that's where I really feel like a feature like that would shine more on the Xbox side, just because the games are going to be more in the spotlight that use it.
I hear you, but the majority of the Game Pass titles right now at this point are more lower budget, I would say, and to implement something like that into the force feedback or whatnot is a little bit more expensive, and they just don't have the money to do it. But I do see them utilizing it for future development of Xbox titles for sure.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing too, because I have a PlayStation 5, and a Nintendo Switch. They both utilize a form of this force feedback, and it's okay.
How do you like the force feed? Is it as crazy good as people make it out to be?
It's good, but like Centurion pointed out, the only game that has really utilized it, from what I can tell, from what I played, is Astro's Playroom. And again, the game is good, but it's an entire tech demo for the PlayStation 5.
The best way I could describe this to you, TimDog, is in the title screen of Astro's Playroom, Astro runs across the screen. And when he runs across the screen, if you're holding the controller, obviously you'll hear Astro's footsteps in the speaker, but you'll actually feel the rumble move from the left side of the controller to the right as he runs across the screen.
Wow. Okay.
Like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's just aside from
It's
that,
a gimmick. It's a gimmick.
it is a gimmick. It
Well,
is a gimmick.
Xbox had that.
See, that's
Rumble,
why I just see more developers
never,
doing it that way on the Xbox.
Yeah, that was never really used either. I mean, it was using NBA, which I thought was cool, like when you're dribbling. But I'm interested though in the controller. I know Call of Duty has it with the force feedback.
If there was something that in this industry has told us throughout the years, is gimmicks really don't work. You look at something. You remember Xbox. For every title that seemed like was coming out, utilized the Kinect. And how did that turn out? You know what I mean? So
turned out it hurt them in that last generation. It really hurt them.
I don't see Xbox wanting to build this as a technology as something that they're going to start building foundations of like controllers on. But definitely, imagine a horror game and you actually feel the pulse of your heartbeat actually going through the controller and getting more steady as the situation gets more intense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's situations where that controller could be used to definitely create a more immersive experience. But then, like people are saying, using it in shooting, because this is also where, there's a reason why it's called forced feedback, because to show you the feedback in Astro's Playroom, when you pull down on the trigger at a certain point, it actually starts to resist you and actually try to push back on your finger. It's actually
how is that? Great.
Huh?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so when you shoot it, that's where some people turn it off, because in Call of Duty, they're saying when you go to fire a weapon and the trigger is actually resisting you, it's slowing down basically the time it takes to pull the trigger.
Well, do you guys remember when Xbox had the same thing pretty much? I mean, you remember Forza Motorsport? I think they took it out because
they still have it. It's just not. It's just not this. The tension is different, though.
Yeah,
the tension is where you actually feel it, like he's saying, like you feel it kick back at you. That doesn't. You have the rumble triggers, but I remember they had it in Forza.
I like that in games. I think it could work.
Yeah, I think you can use it more, especially if it was unified and they both had it. I think that the thing that they were talking about, the leaked document, I think we're on that subject. That was 2 years old, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, we haven't seen much. Forgive what I'm about to say, but we haven't seen really too much innovation when it comes to controllers outside of the ones that come to mind are the Elite controllers and the adaptive controller. But when it comes to just there wasn't much of a giant leap from PS3 to PS4. There wasn't a huge leap from Xbox 360 to Xbox One. There was some technology differences and a little bit of difference. But I really do feel that maybe Microsoft has been looking for that next thing that they can do to kind of keep the evolution of the controller going. Yeah. And they definitely took notice when PlayStation revealed this.
They tried with cameras. They tried with the Kinect. I consider that somewhat of a controller, but it just didn't take off, which makes me think, they have this patent that I think you said was already 2 years old, that maybe they'll just sit back and wait. I mean, everyone was raving about how great the PS5 controller was. It made me want to try it. I still have not even touched the controller as of yet, but I honestly do want to try it, so hey, I mean, it makes me think too that if they do come out with actually make this an actual thing, are they going to make it mainstream and sell it, included in all the consoles, sell with the console, or they're going to just do it, just sell it, individually sold as is. And if you want that experience, then,
I don't think there's no more generational leaps in technology as far as the controllers go anymore. We're not going to see the days of Nintendo putting a rumble feature in their Nintendo 64 controllers, or the PlayStation. I don't think they were the first ones, but the invention of the analog. It's just.
You don't see them going VR glove?
No, I don't see it.
Oh, the power glove. Oh, man.
I don't think those. I think people have pretty much. I could be wrong. There's some way smarter people than myself thinking about this stuff. I mean, just look at Nintendo and what they do. But then again, what's been Nintendo's bread and butter. And when it comes down to, it's just the games, it's not their gimmicks in the controller, So
I
don't know.
Sometimes it's just timing. Sometimes it's just something's gonna be ahead of its time. Sometimes it's just right, to release these games. And I think it'll stop when people just get bored and kind of look for that next dimension of immersion. And so, like VR, you're still kind of waiting.
Kind of perfected it. There's just been really refinements since that controller.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got here? We got a super chat here from Fastback, $5. Happy New Year, TXR. Looking forward to more from TXR in 2021. Going to be bigger and better. Hashtag Gamers United Guild. Thank you, Fastback, for that donation. Much appreciated, brother. And yes, lots of good things coming from TXR going into the new year. Lots of positivity and lots more. Yeah, guys, it's interesting. Again, this patent for the triggers controller, or the force feedback, it was actually filed back this past December, so pretty recent.
Oh.
And Phil has been pretty positive with regards to the way Sony's updated the controller with he's been praising them for the force triggers and so on. So I mean, I could see them toying around with it. But it's interesting you bring up VR, Megatron, because moving on to some more patents, because again, there was this big patent dump from a couple of years ago, but a couple of them I guess got refiled. And it seems that Microsoft is still toying around with VR, or even some kind of mixed reality for Xbox consoles. Because, yeah, we saw these older patents resurface amongst a slew of newly granted design patents for Xbox controllers recently. And one looked very, very reminiscent of a mixed reality controls. Now, I'm very curious to hear what everybody's thoughts are on this. Jeremy, I know you dabble in VR, in the VR scene, because didn't you just pick up the the new Oculus headset, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah, that's correct. I see a lot of people with that now, to be honest. Seems very popular. But could we be seeing some interest from Microsoft regarding bringing VR to their Xbox platforms now?
Well, you guys know about the partnership already with Facebook.
Yes.
So I do think you will see one of the Facebook Oculus devices on Xbox in the near future. If you guys look at your Series X right now, or even Series S, I don't know if the Series S has the USB-C port in the back. I know the Series X does. But if you look at that on the back of the console, there is a USB-C port in the back. And for those of you who don't know, you can hook up an Oculus Quest 2 and play all the demanding like VR games on this new device, even though it's pretty much underpowered compared to like the heftier VRs on the market. So it does utilize the C port, and you have to buy like an $80 cable. It's a USB well-made cable that you can just hook up to the back of your computer. And what that does is it streams whatever's on your PC very well. And the reason why it utilizes USB-C is because, for those of you who are familiar with the tech and the cables and stuff like that, USB-C delivers just the power necessary to run this stuff. So that's why you hook up a USB-C cable to your computer, and you can stream, games like Half-Life Alyx, which uses a pretty hefty VR unit. You can stream it on there if you have the PC rig to utilize it. And it is, it's not like regular streaming where there's like a little lag. It's actually really, really nice. It almost looks native. And I have that cable sitting right next to me right now. And I could hook it up to my PC, and it works great. I mean, it almost really it feels like you're playing just like a regular game on VR, but now you have so many titles that are accessible to you, or now more than ever with that back catalog of VR games. So I do think there is a partnership with Facebook. So yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do think them utilizing that C port in back of the Series X could be a VR thing. Yep.
I want the experience, man. Like I said again, I've only tried VR a few times, and one of the first ones where I really got that sense of, I know that I had this device on, but even still, I'm using, this is when Sony was coming out with their VR, and they had all their little stations at Best Buy. I went and tried it for the first time. I tried the demo, and I was in this like shark cage, and I'm holding on to this chair as tight as I can. The shark is swimming closer and closer at me, and then just crashing into the cage. And man, no matter, even though I still knew I was in the store, it really felt like I was there. So I'm a huge, fan of that type of experience. Yeah. Like I really want it. I really want I get it that it's gimmicky, and
no, VR is not. I don't think VR is gimmicky at all.
I mean, is it mainstream yet? I don't know. I mean, it's just that's my experience, and I like it. I would love it. I'm definitely for it. So.
You know what, guys? At first I thought, VR is a little gimmicky, but recently, over the past couple of weeks, I've been seeing people who I normally wouldn't think would be interested in gaming. I saw a few people get the new Oculus, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's
and it's
cool.
Invader, it's because it's at a nice price point. You can get a VR unit now for $300, and it's powerful. The Quest 2 is very powerful, and now I just told you the things that you can do with it.
Compare it to that. So, do you have the PS5 or the PS4 VR?
Yeah, so I had the PS4 VR. It is more powerful than a PlayStation Pro VR headset.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. And again, you look at what Microsoft's doing with their studios. Recently, Asobo they've been doing Flight Simulator, and Flight Simulator is coming to Xbox sometime this summer. But recently, Flight Simulator got a free VR update that's been receiving a lot of praise for what it's been doing on the PC. Like, there has been a lot of good feedback regarding that VR update. So, I mean, there has to be some interest there, guys, for VR, and I could totally see them doing something similar with Xbox. I mean,
well, Oculus can't even keep their units in stock. What does that tell you? I mean, people are buying it like crazy.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. And I know, Phil's been kind of going back and forth with the commentary on VR over the past, year or so. I mean, I do think that he wants to do something with it. It's just he's not at liberty to say right now. Probably some kind of a contract. I would imagine they would partner with Facebook. Obviously, they have that, like you were talking about, Jeremy. We've touched on this before on the show. Mm-hmm. Again, they've been pretty chummy as of late. So, especially with Mixer going down and them migrating everybody in, so I could definitely see something there. It would make sense too, because again, their big competitor, Sony, is big on VR, and there's other companies that are going into VR as well. So I could definitely see them bringing it over.
Since we're talking a little bit about tech too, I purchased you guys might be familiar with the Philips Hue lights.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they now make a sync box. And what that sync box does is you hook it up, and it's like a little mini, it's Chrome or VCR, whatever you want to call it. It's a little box, and then you place it, and you could put your Xbox Series X HDMI in that. You can put your PlayStation in it. It has 4 different ports. And if you have the lights, what it does is it simulates everything on the colors on your screen. So if you're playing Sonic the Hedgehog and he's running across the screen, you can see the blur of blue across which way he's going. Like in my particular room, I have lights all around me. So if Sonic the Hedgehog starts on the left-hand side, he'll go all the way across, my entire room, as shown on the lights. So it just mimics. So if you're watching a movie like Star Wars, and there's a huge lightsaber battle, it shows the colors on the screen exactly. And if you have a high, just internet or something like that, the lag time on it is hardly noticeable, and it just creates a different experience while you're playing games. So like, look on YouTube right now, and there's people that play Halo with the lights, and it just looks so cool. It's the coolest thing ever. So if you're playing like Ori in the Blind and the Will of the Wisps, or in the Blind Forest, and there's a part where the lightning is going and the rain's falling and there's different color, you see all that outside of your screen, so it's pretty cool. It's just a different way to play games, different experience, and I'm all for it. So and it's a cool gimmick.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, the lightning strikes would be like cool, effect, like especially in like Ori.
Yeah. And it only enhances more in like a game like Invader. We played oh my god, that mining game.
Deep Rock.
Deep Rock.
I'm getting old. Deep Rock Galactic, and it's dark in a lot of the areas. And when you're passing by a light stream, or you're throwing up one of those flares, you totally get that experience. It just looks crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it's insane. And you're going to end up paying a pretty penny for it, because the lights are not cheap. The sync box is not cheap. Like the sync box is like, it's going to set you back like $220. That doesn't include the new strip that just came out. It's the let me see here. It's the Hue Granite the Hue Granite strip that goes around your TV. That's going to run you another $250 just for that light strip in the back. And then the two side lights, which you get 2 in a pack, that's going to run you $120. So you're looking almost like $1,000 for this setup. Is it worth it? I mean, these lights last you a long time. These lights will last you anywhere for, 10 years, because they're LED and they last you forever. But it's
say
cool.
For instance, so like if you got like you're driving in like a game and you got like a cop roll up behind you.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's too much of a sense of emergency for me. So I think I'm going to pass on that one, because the other day it wasn't a good experience.
Yeah, great. That's a great example. If you have a copper on the side of you or behind you. Yeah, you see those blue and red lights for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, guys, we're going on to what'll be our last topic tonight, and it seems like Xbox is interested in further expanding Game Pass. And a few weeks ago in a Twitter exchange, Phil Spencer, he responded to someone asking if they've considered a family plan for Game Pass. And Phil stated that, and I quote, "We have. It's something we'd like to do. There is home console feature for one console household, but multiple family members with consoles, a family plan would help. Really appreciate the feedback." So that's an interesting conversation there. Megatron, I know your household, well, at least I think from what I remember, it has multiple consoles in it. Would something like that, would that plan be appreciated?
Hell yes. Phil, if you're listening, this is the one thing, do it, because I got 4 gamers, potentially 5, and they can't share their devices. They can share the software. So if I can take all the games that I'm buying digitally, and we see how they do it with Netflix. You got Disney Plus, where you're allowed to share your membership across multiple devices in-house, at least minimum. Do that. I think if you can even do it in the same household somehow, I guess if you're all using, similar IP addresses, if that's how it works, make it so. Because, we got 2 devices only, but, in the next couple of months, we're going to have 2 more Xboxes. I'm setting everything up, and I would love to have that where we're all playing at the same time. I don't have to buy 3 different memberships, and 4 different copies of games.
Yeah,
It's a plus in my book, and I would pay an extra, you know, maybe $10, $15, maybe more for the money I'm getting ready to save when I'm having to do all these different accounts. I don't know how they would set it up, but I'm for it. I don't see how anybody could not be for this. So, and I think weren't they going to do something like that in the beginning? You know, way back when Xbox One was released. Wasn't there something similar? No, maybe I'm wrong.
I heard something like that.
Well, that was the old DRM shit. If they had DRM and 1.3, you could have up to 10 family members do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's going way, way back. Wow. I don't think a lot of people want to think back to those days, but yeah, no, that's right. You were able to share a whole bunch regarding that. But I mean, I think it would be something that. I mean, obviously, Phil said he's talked about it, and there's definitely been considerations about it. I mean, I just think it's a logical next step. I mean, we have all these consoles now, again, whether it be, again, our old Xbox Ones or, again, the new Xbox Series S or X.
And your PC.
Yes.
I mean, it's still, it all counts.
Yeah, well, regardless, it's the Xbox ecosystem altogether, and we're at a point now where, again, families or households have multiple Xboxes, and they want to be able to, download the same content onto their Xbox without having to pay a pretty penny. You know, it feels kind of limited.
Yeah. So right now, I'm running with 4 Xboxes in this household. I have one downstairs. Talon has one. The kids have one, and I have one. And right now, the kids' Xbox is my home console. And I believe right now you can have up to 5 people on your family that you can share those games with, but it has to be on that home console. And that's the barrier right there. That's the barrier. So if you can do something to where maybe it's up to 5 devices with the 5 family members, then I think that will eliminate some of the barriers that go along with it. And this includes sharing Game Pass and xCloud, because if you can do that, I just think it makes more sense. So if they look into something like that, I think maybe they can do something that works, because like Megatron said, I just bought my 2 sons Sea of Thieves, both, 2 copies of Sea of Thieves, so we can play. And I have to buy Sea of Thieves or download Sea of Thieves on my home console. That's there already. That's fine. But then I need, on my the other Xbox downstairs, and then Talon needs it, and it gets pricey, just like you said, Megatron. Maybe it could be for certain games, who knows, but
at least with their games, maybe in-house stuff, maybe it'll, it makes things more easier, and we'll consider doing it that way.
I don't even want to know how many Game Pass subscriptions I only subscribe to myself, Game Pass, and Jeremiah. Jeremiah has Game Pass, and he's currently running on like 3 months or whatever of Game Pass. And it's a lot of money when it boils down to it, for sure.
Definitely. Damn, man, you really like that Sea of Thieves, huh?
Yeah, right. Go figure. The whole family's involved.
Well,
make
dad
walk the plank. The kids are listening. Make dad walk the plank, at least, or throw him in the brig. 3 months of Game Pass.
Yeah, we gotta get a TXR night going with Sea of Thieves guys, where we make Downer walk the plank, and there's like a megalodon there.
Yeah.
Oh, guys. Well, I mean, again, it's interesting that this idea from 2013 is kind of being revisited. So, but it was one of the better ones coming out of the whole DRM thing, when everything was just really, really, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a huge on DRM by any means, but I mean, that was one of the good things that came out of it, and, well, the idea anyways. So, Oh, it sounds like Phil's interested in doing something in Xbox as a whole, so who knows, guys? Maybe come June, July, we'll hear something about an expanded program for that, expanded Game Pass. All right, but you know what, guys? On that note, I think we're going to start closing this episode off. And you know what, guys? It's been a fun night. Just kicking off the new year on a really, really good note and a really good show. Despite, it's kind of been kind of weak news-wise the past couple of weeks. But hey, you know what? Pretty good show. And I'm really hopeful that we'll have a good year. Well, most particularly with gaming, the gaming scene anyways. Xbox is on track to do some really amazing things and have some big announcements. All Xbox fans have a good reason to be very optimistic going into this year. And again, guys, a huge shout out to everyone that joined in tonight. We have such wonderful viewers, and we really do appreciate you guys tuning in each week to hear us talk about video games and ramble on. And if you happen to enjoy this show, then remember to hit the like button and share this out all over social media. TXR crew, fantastic show. Now let's get to some of these outros, starting with TimDog, buddy. Good show. Where can everybody follow you at?
Great show. Happy New Year. You can follow me, XcloudTimdog, on Twitter. You can also follow me every Tuesday night. I go on RDX, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm also here every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great week, and I'm glad we're in 2021. We're going to have a couple of, dry weeks, but it's going to be, towards the end of the year, we're going to be on fire. So just looking out, and Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, definitely, Tim. All right, Centurion, you're up next. Where can everybody find your content at?
Well, you guys can find me at Centurion1307 on Twitter, Xbox Live, and of course, YouTube. You can also find me every Saturday night on the Shop Podcast, and you can also find me right here every Sunday night on the TXR Podcast. And thank you, gentlemen. It's always fun to discuss gaming with you, and definitely a good way to kick off the new year.
Well said, brother. Megatron, you're next on deck. Where can everybody find you at?
Hey, as always, hit me up on Twitter anytime, every time. Megatron_1975. Hit me up on Xbox Live. My gamer tag is Megatron1. And Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for coming through. And yeah, it's a good show. Thank you.
Yeah, you said it, man. Jeremy, I don't want to distract you. I know you want to get to staring at all those moving lights on your wall soon. Where can everybody follow you at, brother?
I gotta go to bed. It's the only light is gonna be off. You can find me on Xbox Live at Downer Space J. Let's play some games. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at LoneMasterWho07. You can find me on PlayStation, never, at Green Knight 07. And that's it. Have a good night, guys. Happy New Year.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I got to add you on there. I'll get you on there soon on PlayStation. All right. And lastly, but definitely not least, Shockley, buddy. Good show. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, as always, you can find me on at ShockNero at Twitter. And EZShock on Xbox Live. And Downer, do you even own a PlayStation anymore?
I do not. I do not own a PlayStation anymore at all.
Of any kind.
But I do have my account still. Obviously, I still have PlayStation Now. Does that count?
Sure.
You're a PlayStation content fan, just not a PlayStation fan.
Exactly.
All right, and to round this out, this is Invader, and all of you can find my content over on YouTube at Invader Gaming, and of course, you can find me on my Twitter handle at Invader_1986. Good show, guys, and we look forward already to next Sunday's show. Who knows what news will drop until then and now, but hey, on that note, good night, everyone. See you next week.